Welcome to C&T Collectibles. I am C. Hope you are doing well, and this is your weekly sports card chart blast where we take a look at the price action of our favorite collectibles. Price is truth. If you like this content or find it enjoyable, find it useful, whatever, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's get into it. We've got 50 charts to go over, and we'll try and fly through them. Start off as always with Mike Trout in a PSA 10. So continues his downtrend, but a lot more sideways action here. You kind of had this level above $4,000 until it broke down, and then you respected that $3,000 to $3,500 range. A little bit of a stair step down to that $2,600, $2,500 area, upside to $3,000. And so anytime it gets down to that $2,600, $2,500 area, it seems like it's getting picked up pretty quickly here. So this is more your zone right around $3,000, $2,800 or something like that. Nice to see. Would like to see this curl up and break out, and then that will create a lift for other cards to rise up here. But as long as Mike Trout continues to grind lower, and you get these the probes down in this area here. And it's going to put pressure on other cards, because if other cards get too close to Mike Trout, no one's going to start to pay those prices. So anyways, momentum kind of flat, but curling up just a little bit. We've seen this in the past, and it's rolled over every time. So I'm not sure about a sustainable, durable bottom or anything like that, but it seems like, at least for now, that $2,800, $3,000 area is where people are okay picking it up until further notice. PSA 9 holding on to pretty good support here. So anytime it gets down to this area, we are getting a bit of a lift here. And so you had a cluster of buying back in the day before the breakout. And so to see it return to this level makes some sense, and we'll hope that this can hold. But that's a pretty nice pop there. And again, at $1,200, this is gonna imply kind of a $3,500, $3,600 price tag for the PSA 10. If the 9 gets too close to the 10, then people are just going to trade up. So these can kind of travel together. We shall see which one is right. Oh no, hey, all right, not quite there. Spoiler alert. I put together a lot of these. I kind of forget where I'm at here. Busy week. So, all right, should we buy basketball or baseball? Mike Trout versus LeBron James. These are kind of the bellwethers for their respective groups, the modern GOATs, as it were. So. Trout versus LeBron. If the line is rising, you favor Mike Trout. If the line is falling, it's LeBron. And it's pretty flattish for the most part here. We've seen there's been some outperformance from Trout as of late, as LeBron has come off a bit here. But maybe it is time, as you get nearer to the top of the range here, for LeBron to pop a little bit. And so Mike Trout has had a decent pop from that $2,600 to that $3,000 level. And we'll see if LeBron gets a little lift off of support here. Mookie Betts. Momentum continues to trend lower here. We haven't really had a clean buy signal since about $800 when we had our sell signal in place up in here. So continues to grind lower. You know, I like that $350, $400 area, but as it broke support, it's like, well, it's going to keep going lower. Now you're sitting at $280 for the future Hall of Famer, which seems like a pretty cheap price, but it can get cheaper here. So again, continues to grind lower, and any rips are for selling until it can break out of this one here, and that might take until the end of the year as spring training starts to heat up. You start to get some word out of spring training. So Mookie Betts, his Bowman autograph. Not a lot of autographs around here, so the longer uptrend is intact here. You're sitting right at the bottom of the range, and this is kind of the last support for Mookie here. So for this particular card, if it drops out, then you're going to come down a couple $100 more, $500-$600, and currently sitting at $900. So not an insignificant move, but once you go outside the range, you tend to and you can't hold it, then you do tend to come back to the bottom of the range. We're seeing this in a lot of cards, so it's important to pay attention to that. But right now, sitting at the bottom of the range, so maybe worth a bit of a pop here, but with the other cards traveling down, these cards can come down. It'll just come on right along with it. So Topps Chrome Bo Bichette Prism Refractor. Anytime it gets down to this $40, $50, no, excuse me, that's not $40, $50. That's like $120 or something like that. It does kind of rip out. So we've got an upside target of around that $200 area in the near term. $174.99 is your current price. If it comes back into this area, then it is worth a shot for the young star. Prism Refractor, again, that is the PSA 10. And if we look at a number of his cards here, you can see that the pink refractor, I think, has been the relative outperformer. They've all been pretty terrible, but down 50%, pink refractor has held up better than most. That is your relative outperformer here. So you can see that the base chrome kind of getting a little bit of a lift here, which is neat. See if it can break out of this one. But when I look at the relative, honestly, I don't. I just get them all. But if you are looking at this for an investment or something like that, if these cards do start to go, then the prism and the base could follow suit, and there may be more upside to those cards. Luis Robert. Got a number of his cards here as well, and so we've got the 85, which is actually held in pretty well, and the regular refractor, which is held in pretty well, and the pink and the base down a bit more here. And so again, those continue to trend lower. So if you are looking for loose Robert cards and believe his cards will go up, then you want to consider some of the ones that are some of the versions that are beaten up more than others here. Juan Soto in the chrome. Just kind of traveling along and not doing a ton as of late. I mean, there's some pretty decent mood swings in here, but once it gets down to that $200 level, it looks like people are willing to pick it up at least in the near term here. So if you're a little bit patient, maybe you can get a decent price on that one. Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck, the star rookie, is the PS 810, getting a bounce off support. So this one looks a lot like Mike Trout, doesn't it? So a lot of these goats, so cards are kind of their own asset class, is what I'm thinking. And most of these cards are going to travel the same if they're absent news. And so if there's some news around a certain player, they're playing well, then you can see them diverge from the rest of the pack here. But for the most part, these cards, I think you're going to do mostly the same here. And so you had your previous level of support. It is not, or excuse me, resistance. It is now support, and you're getting a nice little bounce off of that particular card. So there's some upside in the near term to Mr. Griffey. Barry Bonds tops traded 86, PS 810 consolidating. So again, coming down to this area of support, and there's a lot of buying in this area here. So we'll see as it compresses if it wants to curl back up. And I think we can look at some number of other cards. If we can get the Griffeys and the Trouts kind of on fire, then people are going to say, oh, the Bonds is cheap relative to those, and they'll come back in and lift it up as well. So if it breaks below this, then you do have some downside sub 300, and it's sitting at 385 right now. So not insignificant by any stretch here, but it's important to look at all these to get a look of holistic view of the market here. Roger Clemens 84 flare update and a PSA 9 uptrend remains intact, and you're kind of near the end of the bottom of that range here. So again, a lot of buying in this area. It is revisiting, and you're going to see a lot of buying in this area as well as people remember that price. And so if it leaks out of here, then people are going to start to remember these prices, and that could be a big problem. So watch those other cards as well, and it'll give you perhaps a hint as to what's going to happen here. 84 Don Mattingly PSA 9 uptrend intact here. Getting a little bit volatile. This is it looks like maybe a one-off. When you get these, they do tend to reverse themselves. If you just look at the cluster, ignore the spikes, you can see that the trend, at least in the near term, is up. So I'd expect some buying to come in here real quickly. Unless you get a bunch of sales down here, then that's just sustainable. But just one, I'm more inclined to believe that the next purchase will be a bit higher here. Vlad, Dops Chrome, PSA 10. With a fake break below, and then a rip to the kind of the top of this range here. And so the trend is mostly sideways here. It looks like perhaps a little bit of a topping pattern perhaps, but in breaking that could bring it down to that 150 level, and I think that might have been enough right there. So but currently sitting at $177, and so sitting at support. So if you are looking at this for an investment, then use the recent lows here as kind of your support, because below this you start to ping pong this, and eventually a lot of buying down here, and that's maybe where it eventually settles in, which seems too cheap for now for what he's done this year. So I'm not too convinced about that one right here. So I'm looking for a lot more sideways action probably out of that one. And looking at all of his cards here, we do have some outperformers for Vlad over the last 6 months. The Prism, the Pink, and the base have done pretty well here. So if you're looking for one of these cards, maybe look at some of the beat up ones, the base refractor and the sapphire. Sapphire is pretty flat for the most part, but the regular refractor is down a bit here. And so we'll just look at the price relative on these two cards here. And so you've got a rising line favors the Pink, and a declining line favors the base refractor. So if you're deciding between these two cards, you could look for some outperformance in the near term from that base refractor, as it's getting rejected at this level of resistance. But yeah, there's the Pink outperforming, and then the base. And once again, I think that base refractor, at least in the near term, shows a little outperformance. All right, Bryce Harper, sitting at support. Last time we looked at him here, said risk reward sets up favorably, and hopefully it was one of you that placed a sale up here and got some money out of that one here. So we'll see how that goes. But outside the range, so I expect it to maybe revisit the bottom of this range here, just kind of grind sideways. We'll see what kind of news comes out of the postseason stuff, and it could be worth a further pop. But again, up in this area is where selling is taking place for the most part. So until we see more transactions in this area and grind higher, then this is kind of your range. This is a little too cheap, this is a little too expensive, and there you are, not a ton to do. So if you're looking to make money, that's probably not the guy to go to here. Football, Tom Brady, Bowman Chrome. PSA 10 continuing to travel upwards. So this is the longer term trend, and it is respecting that. And it is a lot of sideways action here, but it's a pretty expensive card. It's not going to see a ton of action. A card that could see a lot of action, Pat Mahomes, PSA 10, $7,000 card, is getting cheaper here. So continuing his downtrend. Had some decent support here, but it was bumping up the top of its range. Couldn't break through, so now it's breaking down. And a lot of buying in here, but it is traveling lower. The Optic. Traveling lower as well, but getting a nice bounce off the bottom of the range here. So again, you had kind of your support zone, but as long as the trend is down, then you're trying to catch a falling knife kind of deals here. So a little bit of a pop here, but rips are for selling while you were in a downtrend. Mr. Josh Allen in the Optic as well. So with bottom of the range, buying has picked up. It's very quick, but it's given you another chance at purchasing his card in this area here. So if you can keep looking good, then you could see another rip to the top of the range, and then one day it'll break this range and establish a new boring, frustrating range. So Kyler Murray Prism, they lost. They're 7-1 now, but he's still good. He's still good here. So he's compressing here for the most part in this cluster where it's been for a long time. So not a lot of money to be made in the near term. But if he's able to keep it going and that team keeps doing well, then we could see maybe a breakout here. But right now, kind of buy it and respect the range. If it leaks below and sustains itself, again, the past couple of times it's gone lower. It's been snapped up pretty quickly. But if you start to see a number of sales there, then you could start to anticipate lower prices. But there's a lot of people willing to pay for it in here. So a lot of sideways action on that one as well. Lamar Jackson, PSA 10, top of the range, bottom of the range. Looks like an interesting buy here. This card sitting at $523. So sitting at what was it, like $800-900 forever, and the PSA 9 was sitting at like 170. It's like, oh, that seems really, really cheap. And one thing's going to happen: the 10 is going to come down and catch up to that, or the 9 is going to go. And neither one of them has worked here. So, but it looks like this is a pretty decent spot now, pretty thin, and in the past it's been worth a purchase. PSA 9, kind of the same thing. It got a lot cheaper. It got a lot cheaper here. So maybe there's upside to the 9, or maybe that 10 is going to come down to $200-300. So we'll see how it goes. But $77. This was kind of an ultimate target. Actually, it's like if this breaks, you could see $70-80. It's like, what are the chances? Well, now the chances look pretty good. It's like, oh geez, all right. So trend remains down on this one in an area where buying should potentially step up here. So it could go a little bit lower here, but I think people will be snapping it up at that price here. The relative to the 10, it is cheap. So even if the 10 comes down to $300, that's still pretty cheap stuff there, relatively speaking. Matty Staffy right around its all-time highs here, so probably not the spot to do it. A couple of purchases here, but it is rolling over just a little bit. So if it comes down a few shekels, then maybe a better spot. Joey B, PSA 9, top range coming up a little bit. In an area where there's been buying in the past, but these rips are for selling while you're in the downtrend. He looks good. That's the silver in the PSA 9. So we'll see if he can keep it going here. But this is a decent area where there's been some buying. But again, the trend is down. If you get to the top of the range here, that is worth a sell. If you get to the bottom of the range, then that's worth a buy for the most part. Tua, all right. He was playing, right? Silver. Bottom of the range is the raw version, getting a bit of a lift here. So again, rips are for selling on this one here. But this is a decent spot for a quick trade on a $73 card. Maybe you get up to $100 or something like that, a little bit over, and make a few bucks on that one in the near term. Jordan Love breaking out of his downtrend here for the most part. So I don't think this is a Wally Pip Lou Gehrig situation here. Aaron will be back, and that's so I'm not sure I would chase it on this one here. But he is relevant, and he is one of the bigger movers in the football world this week. Dak Prescott, bottom of the range. Last few times it's been worth a buy. So as it compresses, your upside is a little bit more limited. But heck, that looks interesting enough for a move if that's what you are into. If you're looking for a Dak, might be as good as it gets for a while. If this does break down, then you are looking at kind of that sub $500 area, which again, not an insignificant move lower. Adrian Peterson, he's back here, so this is just a mess. There's not a lot going on here. Uptrend is broken, but he's in the news a little bit. If he has a good week this week, then it could jump up here. So there's some buying in this area here. But again, if you're looking for this card, I think if you're patient, extremely patient, like multi-month, year patient, you could get it closer into this in this area here, which would be down decently. So all right, Cooper Cup, bottom of the range. You liked it here, said no getting frothy here, down in this area. Yeah, why not? It's really quick, so it's like not like you can jump in and be that one person here. So if it comes down just a little bit more, pretty decent spot. Or if you're just looking for that card, it's not the most expensive thing in the world right here. If you're a long-term believer in Cooper Cup, Michael Thomas, he'd be coming back too, sitting at the bottom of the range. Maybe worth a shot here. As I don't know if there's anybody to throw to him, but he'll at least be back on the field. So Christian McCaffrey also coming back here, so broke his uptrend and just drifted down. So when these uptrends break, you can come to an area where there's more transactions, and that is in here. So he'll be back this weekend, and see if that's enough to get him to hold this range at least, and maybe come up and retest the underside of that trend at some point. All right, basketball, Michael Jordan. Looks a lot like Griffey and Trout here. You had your breakout, and now you're just kind of retesting here, and you're sitting near the bottom of that range. And so let's see if we can get some buyers to come in and eventually push it out of this and break out, and then that'll allow other cards to kind of rise up with him. The Dream, kind of the same thing here. You had your support and your breakout, and you're traveling along, just messing around just a little bit here. Not as clean as the Jordan or anything like that, but it is respecting its range for the most part here. So a lot of sideways action. Again, I think if you're looking to make money, if you're looking to make an investment in PSA 8, then it seems like a decent enough spot. If you're looking to make money, then there's probably other things to look at for now. Charles Barkley, kind of the same thing here. You had your breakout, and then coming back to an area where there's been a lot of buying before you're sitting near the bottom of the range. So as long as it respects this, then there could be a decent pop out of this one as well. But see a lot of sideways action on these cards here. Luka, all right, this is a problem here. So we had a little tiny breakout last week and said, all right, this is a problem, and it's proving to be a problem. Now you have sustained buying below this level, this consolidation area here. This is a big consolidation, a couple $100 here. So if this is a continuation of the downtrend, then you could see, and you look at a longer term chart, $400 or $500 or something like that. So it's sitting right at these lows. So if it can kind of hold on, just below them, then I think they can go. But until he gets his butt in gear a little bit here, you could see this as you could see some further downside on this one here. So he is a no touch at this point here. LeBron James, all right. So we're looking for a little outperformance from LeBron James, maybe. Well, Mike Trout's got a bit of a pop lately. LeBron is sitting at the bottom of his long-term support. So if it does go up, it's usually pretty thin. So we'll see how that goes. But the risk reward sets up favorably for that particular card. Tyler Hero, absolutely a ripping here, but he's in an area where there's some consolidation in the past. So I think for now, you have to favor some consolidation here as well before perhaps moving higher at some point. So obviously he starts playing like crap or gets hurt, then going back down. So you follow the trend as it is, but right now maybe it needs a bit of a breather at this point here. So I actually looked at that one. I don't think I looked at the silver last week. I looked at the base and it was sitting at the top. So I don't know. Maybe I should have looked at that one again here. But yeah, the silver looks like it's in for a pause as well. So the base looked like it was stretched. Silver looks like it's maybe in for a little bit of pause. Ja Morant, kind of the same thing here. So nice uptrend here, but you've got your here's your previous support. Now you're at resistance, and it's backing away from that one as well. So the trend is up until it isn't. But I'd like to see it, your risk reward is not favorable at this time. I want to see it poke its head above here and hold it, and then you can be a little more positive about some more upside on that one. Giannis, kind of the same thing as last week. You had your uptrend was broken, and now you're just retesting it. So the trend on this one is down until you break out. This is actually kind of a bullish consolidation. So when it breaks out, if it breaks out, then it's probably your time to really go for that one. It would likely be higher prices, but for now the trend is down and rips are for selling until I can break out of that one. Paul George, $100 is when people kind of step in. $350 is kind of when they sell it. So here you go. You're sitting around $200. So not a lot to do. You're kind of right in the middle of that range here, and it's pretty thin here. But keep an eye on it. You get down to the $100 area. Maybe that's something you do, and you get up to that $350 area. Ring the register. All right, Kevin Durant bottom of the range, getting a little bit of a pop on this one here. This is that. PSA 10, the rookie white border one here, so broken down trend, and it's creeping along here, and it's at the bottom of its range, getting a little bit of a lift. All right, Zach LaVine, sitting in his resistance zone as well. So you have really two types of players here: the ones that are trudging along, going sideways, not doing a whole lot, and then you have some guys that are younger, off to a good start, and they're all kind of meeting resistance at the same time here. So again, looking for some perhaps consolidation. If it does break out, that's bullish, but for now, this is it's going to be an area where there's going to be a bit of a battle between the Bulls and the Bears. All right, a couple hockey here, and we'll wrap her up here. Hi, Trigger. All right, Ed Belfour, ripping. Hockey's really holding up well. If you guys are just in this to make some money, seriously, look at that market here. So getting near the top of its consolidation here, Nick Suzuki. He does not make cars, he just plays hockey here. Broken uptrend here, but you're coming into a level of support, or if there's a little bit of downside here, use that to your advantage. This is kind of your buy zone, and it is creeping back in there once again. Henrik Lundqvist, right at the top of his range here. Something has taken place in the past, and that is what you do until the market tells you otherwise. And Connor McDavid looks like he wants to make a run at those all-time highs here. So holding on to support. Uptrend is broken, so you don't have to go down. You can just go sideways, and that's what he chose to do. A lot of buying at this previous level of support, and now you're making your way to the top of the range here. Kylian Mbappe, one soccer, top of the range. Puking, absolutely puking. Tough to say where there's a bottom on this one. Now this is a one-off. Only one transaction here, so you could see a harsh reversal to the upside here, but it's for selling as the trend remains down. And we'll wrap it up with Charizard, whose trend also remains down in this one. And looking at the clusters, it continues to grind lower as well. So it does get snapped up when it drops decently in a sale, but doesn't mean that's the bottom. We've had it here, and continues to grind lower. You're closer to the top of the range than you are the bottom, and so again, we look for a breakout on that one before getting too excited. That's what I got for you. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.